And this is how things shape up for the Super Fence 1200. She's a Thief is $3.80. You've got $4.60 for Cavallo Veloce, Weka Force $5. How do things sit in your book for this, Thad?
Yeah, look, a nice way to start the day. Nice 1200 metre race here to start the day. Look, we opened Cavallo Veloce favourite in this market, Jason, so we have had a fair move for She's a Thief. There'd been money for her in both her resuming runs, and they've both been pretty good. That King Louis form from Ellerslie on Karaka Million Light does look strong. So we have had a change in favouritism onto She's a Thief, Jason, in the first, but you wouldn't be ruling too many out. Weka Force comes back from the South Island where it ran well or creditably in the 1,000 guineas, and I think it's had a trial win since at $5. Tiger Silk was big at Pukekohe. Even House of Cartier has had a freshen up into this, back to 1,200 metres and has a bit of a wrap. So you couldn't rule too many out, but best bet clearly at this stage is the new favourite, and She's a Thief.
Thanks, Thad. The formpro.co.nz and formproratings.co.nz speed map looks like this. Look, I think Weka Force might be able to find the front, and she could be hard to run down. I liked her trial, but not quite sure where She's a Thief will get to if they're positive on her. And they managed to sit outside of Weka Force, then it could be game on. But how did you see the tempo in the first race, BP?
Yeah, I certainly saw Weka Force being the runner that Jason goes forward in this race. Look, we saw a very good trial from this runner only a few days ago, of course on Tuesday this week, when been able to do a very good job in leading them up and was hard held to the line. So yeah, maybe She's a Thief. So if they are interested in going forward, can posse up in a position outside leader. A horse I know that they backed first time to the races here on Boxing Day and was undone by the heavy track conditions, and certainly was very good when closing in the Mongolian Khan into fourth position. So you can understand the money that has come for the horse. But as Thad pointed out, there's a number of good options here that you can play into. We'll show you a couple of runners first of all. Tiger Silk. Now this horse has an inside gate. If there is going to be those couple of horses that want to come in front of Tiger Silk, Andrew Corder just has to kick up a touch here to be able to try and find that spot behind leader potentially. Look, I know this horse did get back though last time to the races and swept home down the outside after a good, from a reasonable gate, but certainly showed a nice turn of foot. And of course on the inside of this runner is the chosen one. This is Tiger Silk when winning. Has drifted in the market out to around $6.20 and $1.60. How did you rate this horse's chances, Aidan?
Oh, I thought it had to be in the mix for sure. It's actually my second pick in the race. Really good win, and obviously the fourth placing of the chosen one in the Waikato Guineas last week is it's a pretty good recommendation. And yes, I think I still finished that last 600. I think 4.5 seconds or 4.5 lengths faster. So just didn't cop the heavy track a couple of starts back. So you forgive that, and it's 3 in a row. You know. So it's got to be a contender. Cavallo Veloce's win last time, it was very good too. 33.05 for the last 600 in this race. It was a really good performance. And here's a 3-year-old colt who's twice been stakes placed, and I thought a contender here as well, actually.
I thought so as well, because so often we've heard about how much Sean Mackay has got a lot of belief in this horse in terms of a 3-year-old. Of course, yeah, as you said, he'd been stakes placed as a maiden galloper. He only won a maiden 3 starts ago to this horse. He was convincing when he won there out of Trentham. He has a gate where, look, they might look to try and take a spot. I mean, as we know with Peter Mackay horses and Sean Mackay, they can be positive with their runners. So tempo early doors. Look, there could be a bit happening in the early part of the race.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Weka Force was probably the leader in the race. I thought trial was excellent during the week as well, so it have to be a chance. You know, we haven't seen the horse since the 1,000 guineas, but you know, finished second to Melt at Ruakaka, and obviously we're getting a bit of a phone call coming through. Not too sure.
Late mail, I think.
Your bookie.
Anyway, so what are your numbers, Aidan? Quick, need to answer the
in
phone.
the end, 1, 3, 2, and 5. I do give Cavallo Veloce a big chance ahead of Tiber. So I thought Bit Lippy was a key runner in the race. And yet, I think the Eclipse Stakes from here last year when Bit Lippy actually beat home She's a Thief.
Yeah.
She's that 2-year-old form might just be a guide for this.
Yeah, look, but Lippy wasn't that bad actually in the Mongolian Khan. We got back second to last and we're still working home. Of course, She's a Thief did beat at home in that particular race. Look, I leant towards Tiger Silk in the end, but a race where I think if we can see Weka Force finding that top spot and can get there easy enough, can be a big player. Oh, hello, Jason. Are you there? Yes.
I think Aidan Rodley just screened me, Brendan. I think he just screened me. Anyway, race number 2 on the program.
Wasn't my ringtone.
I've got a different ringtone, have I? Race number 2. This is how the market stacks up for it. It's the Papatoetoe Glass, and the Fame Game is the $3.60 favourite. Open $4.20. Brison's drifted out to 8. Monaco looks to be rock solid $6.50, and Tattle there is at $5.50, just a slight drifter. What's the tail of the tape here, Thad?
Yeah, look, the Fame Game has moved in, Jason. I guess barrier 11, a little bit of a question mark with the pattern of racing. I'm sure we'll see that in the speed map in a few moments. But there has been solid support around the Fame Game. I would deserve one. I think a deserving favourite in the race, but just how this race maps and how it maps out will be very interesting. Plenty of money for Tattle to resume with a win. There was money on this this mare in all of her runs last preparation, or in her 3 or 4 runs last preparation. So don't worry about Tattle if you do like it today. Plenty of money to suggest it can run a race. But yeah, look, there is money on Brisson there. It's reflected on the tote there, currently at $4.40, Jason. But a very, very even second race of the day. Punters going with Fame Game and Tattle. I must mention one right down the book. I don't know too much about it. Hopefully you boys can give me some insight. Morris Lass. Was 80 to 1, now 50 to 1. Currently our worst result in the race. Kevin Morton trains. Make what you like of that, but clearly our worst result is Morris Lass. Best back Tattle just ahead of Fame Game though.
We'll get the thoughts of Brenda Popwell and Aidan Rodley very soon. How about the map? I liked Fame Game's numbers and what it brought performance-wise to the race, but gee, that barrier's it's very trappy. It's a very trappy barrier for the Fame Game, and you can see there it's unlikely to get things go his way. I put him on top, but I'm sort of having doubts because of this map, Brendan.
Niggly, very niggly. I think the source draws inside 5. I think we'd be climbing aboard the Fame Game. I've got it on top as well, but I have those nagging doubts at the back of my mind as well. Look, Jason Waddell will leave it in his capable hands to try and pull it off, because if the horse runs up to the form lines we've seen so far, since the very good trial that this horse produced has been able to win and then put these 2 runs together. Of course, Brison's in the same race, and we can see that there's been money for Brisson as well. Fame Game comes from a long way off them, and Tegan Newman clings on here in the concluding stage of the Fame Game, closing hard.
I think you're pretty keen on it this day too, weren't you, Brendan? It really did close off nicely. There's only a half a kilogram swing in Brison's favour, so it's not easy to do that at Tauranga and through the line really strong. So it's a compelling performance.
Just the barrier draw, isn't it? I mean, where does Waddell try and slot in? What does he try and do from there?
This is a really tricky map, and some of those key chances, even Brison's out there, Honesty, who in the end I put on tops out there, so just what they do with this race early is going to, and as well as that with the rail being out 8 metres as well.
Right.
See how that plays.
Look, this horse finally got it all together, Aidan. I know it was a midweek race. It is the win here of Monaco. I spoke to Stephen Ralph post-race. He did say that this horse is potentially better than Santa Monica. Now that is a massive call, isn't it, for a horse who's already won a Group 1. But they've always held this horse in really high regard. And look, maybe with him up and running now, and he's had that confidence of winning a race. Look, possibly. He's middle market price at the moment. Yeah,
I think deserves to be as well. This is quite a soft win, but I'm just not so sure what he's beaten in this either. So, it was a nice performance, and if you like the horse, there's no reason why to hop off, because it was soft on the line. But it's a really tricky race at 65, and the draws don't help that either.
I thought Tattle was good in a trial. The horse who is rated around $5, Cody Cole, the trainer, and Sam Collard aboard, I thought held nicely to the line when finishing into second position. Yeah, exactly, and had won that race at Te Awamutu quite nicely as well. In the end, I went with number 6, Honesty, on top. I just thought that was the right sort of form. The 6th last time out at Te Rapa was okay, and the previous one was strong enough as well. So that's the way I went in the race. Yeah, look, I was towards the Fame Game and hoping that maybe Jason Waddell can get a 10 out of 10 ride here with this horse, and if he can produce it, can win the race, because the 3 runs in so far have been very good. I marked that horse on top. Yeah, Morris Lass. Interesting, I did notice this move around this horse from $91, 442 days since this horse last has been to the races, but was very good at a trial recently, beaten only a length off them when finishing into 3rd position. Yeah, heck of a training performance, wouldn't it, if Morris Lass would come out and be competitive in race number 2. Race number 3, and this is how the market stacks up for this 1500 metre over the rating 65 over the 1500 metres.
Reposa Repeater and Acutus at $3.80, $4.60 for both William Tell and If in Doubt. Can you give us any leads here, Thad?
Interesting market. We've got those four clearly ahead of the rest, and we're out to $11 around Swiss Made. But customers can smell an upset in this race, Jason, because I think we're losing on everything that's $11 or higher. So you'll generally see those tote prices will be shorter on those roughies, particularly the Russians for Todd Mitchell, bringing it up from the South Island, the last start win, Lisa Allpress aboard. Also, the Rebel Knights a losing result. If the Rebel Knight bought its A game, it would be competitive in Swiss Made, as I mentioned. Look, best backed of the favourites, Jason, is Reposa Repeater. Becoming quite a costly commodity for customers. They're giving it another go today, and probably what isn't the strongest, rating 65 over 1,500 metres. So perhaps one more time for Reposa Repeater. William Tell was good last time at $1.50, breaking its maidens. That'd be some sort of chance, you would think. We had it clearly the top four here. Customers are saying we might be a little bit stingy on the favourites and a little bit long on the roughies in the third.
I get when the market speaks, that means that you guys have to move. Here's the speed map, and Form Pro has assessed it like this. Those Russians, If in Doubt, Freewheeler and William Tell, the runners that are expected to fight things out early. And interestingly enough, Brendan Popple, they are drawn, relatively speaking, closer to the inside.
They are, yeah. Gee, I thought William Tell, Jason, with an inside gate. This was a huge run from this runner last time to the races, William Tell. Now, as Thad pointed out, the horse closed off at very tight odds of $1.50. Now, there was a riderless horse in this race, and Taiki Yanagita was aboard William Tell, and it was a case of just running, and kept on running as well on this occasion, Aidan. And look, he went into this race with a very good run behind Sword and Stone, of course, previously here when finishing into third position, and even before that in that special conditions race, been running into fourth position.
I just couldn't believe the price this day. I just couldn't believe that the horse was $1.50, and thought, I've got to find one to beat it here. But the way it panned out, it just absolutely killed them. So 4 lengths after running third to Sword and Stone and sent out at $1.50. I'm surprised it's so long today. Like you say, it's drawn barrier 1. I think it's the leader in the race from there. Surely they'll press forward from there, and I know it's a senior jock taking over from the claimer, who did a really good job last time out. He's, I think, suspended at the moment, Taiki, but I marked this horse on top, and I'm surprised you're still getting $4 about it. Yeah,
well, on the same day out of Avondale, we saw this particular race, which was a rating 65 mile. Acutus went round as favourite in this race and was actually beaten, went round at $1.90 on this occasion. He was there, and then he comes again. It was a strange sort of run from Acutus. He does have some blinkers on him today to maybe sharpen him up.
Yeah, exactly. The form's been solid. Only 5 starts so far for a win and a couple of minors. So there's enough about that form. He was just there. Thought might have been able to just to clinch that. But yeah, it's not a horse who's really got me yet, but he has been solid in recent starts. He's got to be a contender for sure.
Reposa Repeater, as we heard there from Thad Taylor, the horse has taken some money again. A horse who's trained by Stephen Marsh, Jason Waddell, and If in Doubt in the market as well. How do you place those runners?
Yeah, I was around the market. They were the 4 that I thought stood out. It surprises me that there's money for some of those longer ones. If in Doubt's been, coming back a couple of grades from rating 82 last time out. So in the end, I had the 6 on top over the 7, but this is a tough old race.
It is, yeah. Still with Aidan as well here, Jason. I think it's a race that can be fought around the sort of the William Tells or the Reposa Repeater, or even runner number 4 in Acutus. I thought maybe Acutus with the blinkers on, he might be just sharp enough to possibly take the race out.
Yeah, I was pretty keen on Acutus with the blinkers on as well, but it does look as though those 4 runners will fight it out, but we'll see. The market suggesting an upset. Race number 4. This is how things stack up for the Stella Artois 1600. Tight line $3.20. Sandrine at 5. Gino Severini beat Home Lucky, Sweep, and also Sandrine the last time. They were all beaten by Cut a Deal at $7.50. There's Savapack at 9 and $2.80. He always presents as a great place option, I think. Savapack, he's placed second and third, 11 from 21. Has the money been for tight line here, Thad, or outside of that?
No, with tight line here, Jason. Look, they had it on in buckets full. It's a Rapa, and it just got held up at an inopportune time. Raced a little bit keenly. Matt Cameron, strong rider, and got him going towards the line and was doing his best work on the line. So the step to the mile you would think would suit Tightline, Matt Cameron aboard again, so that will help. He knows the horse. They want to get their money back on Tightline after that last start fourth at Te Rapa. You obviously touched on that race behind Cut a Deal when Sandrine and Gino Severini competed. Look, Sandrine would deserve a win for that consistent form line. Does look a horse on the rise. But yeah, look, Gino Severini has been backed probably because of that price discrepancy you mentioned, Jason, there at $7.50. Vici, a talented looking mare on the rise there, a winner of 2 of its last 3. Tricky one to place in the market. We had it at $7. Customers not too keen on Vici at this stage. And Rubera is an interesting runner. Comes out of the same race as the favourite Tightline. Had a little bit of money for it at quite long odds in the Oaks. Around $31 in an Oaks market, Rubera for the Baker Forsman team. Second up today. You'd expect some natural improvement at $8.50. Not too many biting, but I would expect an improved run from Rubera. Best back clearly Tightline here, Jason, ahead of Gino Severini and then Sandrine.
Here's the map for the race. This is how Form Pro have generated things. Morioch and Gino Severini, they do look horses that potentially could go forward and control things. Then you've got Vici. Not quite sure how those runners in the red and the orange, as you can see there, Sandrine, Tightline, Saverback, Terrifique and Rock Wheeler. There's a bit of jockeying to go on there, Brendan.
There is, yeah. Maybe Terrifique is a horse who can maybe position outside leader if they wanted to press on from that middle gate, a horse who can find that position. But Morioch's a horse who really does love to be in a forward position as that runner. And yeah, Gino Severini with that inside gate, and also a very good run last time to the races behind Cut a Deal when finishing into second position over the 1,600 metres. And that's the form reference we're first going to look at here, Aidan, is the Gino Severini race, Sandrine, and of course Lucky Sweep as well, who I did like in this race, who got back and was able to work home strongly off the back of what was a very good run back here at Ellerslie, I thought, even though beating only a couple of horses home, was good late sectionally. So this is a good form read, I thought, leading into this.
Exactly, and Lucky Sweep really does hit the line nicely. Gino Severini's gone up on the outside of Sandrine and obviously had that horse covered. So it's going to be hard for Sandrine to bounce back, although Sandrine was really good here 2 starts back in that same race that Lucky Sweep went well into. So yeah, I agree with the map too. I think, you know, it's going to be positioning up really nicely. The other one who's right there, isn't it, is Morioch, who at $14 was it's an interesting price. Morioch, Tightline and Rubera in this race. That's Rubera out wider in the green colours, but Morioch's running not too bad.
Yeah.
Obviously Tightline. It just got flushed back about the 800 metre race at point after being in a nice position and hits the line really well. And the last sort of 50 metres is his best of the race. So I was on him last week, disappointed that he didn't win, and I'm one of those customers that says talking about this, chasing the money today.
Yeah, I think it's a case of trying to get it back as well, because the horse was so good when winning 2 starts ago.
Yeah.
He does look progressive, doesn't he, Tightline?
Absolutely, and like we say, when he first had his that win at Ruakaka, you know, going back a couple of years, because he's obviously had a pretty interrupted career. He beat home Yearn, who's a 6-foot race winner, and they've been really keen on him. You know, in that race, beat home the Real Beal, who's since come out and run second in the Karaka Million, a really nice run in the Sir Tristram Fillies Classic last week. So that form's okay. So I'm with Tightline. I've made him my best of the day, and I'm happy to play him here. I thought the danger in the race was actually Rubera.
Yep.
I think we'll come on a lot with that run, and no surprises that there's money gone on the Oaks. I think we know where that'll come from. He's on the big screen today.
Yeah. 1MG and Michael Guerin. Yeah, look, I'm with Tightline as well, runner number 4. Big respect around Sandrine maybe running off that form from 2 starts ago. I know that the horse was a runner who was caught wide and had to press forward in that race at Pukekohe Park. So things didn't all go to the favours of that horse. So happy to give that runner another chance. And I'm mindful of Lucky Sweep again. The thing's going to have to happen up front for the horse this afternoon, but at a very large quote of a sort of around $20. I'll be certainly lobbing that horse into a trifecta in the first 4.
Okay, that's the first half of the Ellerslie card previewed. We'll take a quick break here on the Punters Lounge live, freshen up, check our voicemails, and we'll be back soon.
You know I can't stop till I'm good and done. I'm gonna push it hard.
The first leg of the second quaddie at Ellerslie is the Dunstan Feeds at 1200. It's an open handicap and an excellent race. Ever Loyal is the $2.30 favourite. Spring Heat 6. Ricky Tiki Tavi is at 7. Thad Taylor joins us from the sports desk to provide us the latest betting information. Thad, Ever Loyal, a horse I note, even with scratchings, is held at around that $2.30 price. What's been happening money-wise?
Yeah, we're not willing to give it away just yet, Jason. Look, there's no doubt Ever Loyal will start clear favourite in this race after that second in the Concord, I should say. But customers are saying there's a bit of value outside it from horses that ran against Ever Loyal in that Concord. Now that is, of course, Ricky Tiki Tavi, who was 4th in the race, Santa Monica, who was 5th in the race, and also Spring Heat. They're willing to certainly forgive Spring Heat. The win 2 starts ago was very, very good. Obviously, we don't know what happened in that Concord last time out, but if we see the best of Spring Heat, she could easily round them up in a couple of strides. So, look, Ever Loyal, they want to be on. I would expect to see a late close on Ever Loyal on the tote, and then with fixed odds bookmakers, around $2.30 currently. The other one I need to mention is Bisu, who's having an absolute second-generation renaissance up there with Nigel Tiley. Right in commission here was pretty good on Karaka Million Night behind Volpe Veloce, and a bit unlucky. 3-week break, freshened up slightly back to 1200 and Opie Bosson aboard. That's actually currently our worst result. That's been 12 into 11, Bisu. I think we'll be able to balance this market, Jason, with the favourite Ever Loyal, but punters that have shopped early have got a little bit of value.
That's very interesting stuff, betting outside of Ever Loyal there. This is how the map stacks up for it. Ever Loyal has been mapped to go forward. I'm pretty sure they'll press the button on Recanto. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and rouse Rangipo up and to go forward, but he'll take 100 or 150 odd metres to wind into things. How did you see the map here, Brendan Popwell?
Yeah, I see Ever Loyal holding, and then I think you're right about Recanto. I think that is a horse who will look to try and spear over from the outside gate and Recanto. That's where I'm seeing things at this stage. I think Ever Loyal is... Look, I'm worried if he's going to get tighter in the market, because there is horses like Ricky Tiki Tavi and Spring Heat who are at prices where if they get to a point in the market and you're already on Ever Loyal, I think you're going to have to start backing those runners. Look, this is the Ever Loyal run, Aidan. It's for everyone to see. We've all seen it. He's been terrific late. He's gone on with the job since as well. If he is in that vein of form that we're hearing from Tony Pike, that he's gone in the right direction, well, this certainly is his race today.
Oh, I think so, and there's just not as much speed on paper as what there was in the Concord here, so that's why we've got him mapped so handy, obviously. And his run was very, very good. We hadn't seen him for a year, and he comes out and produces a performance like that. We know how good he was as a 3-year-old. He was top draw. So if he's back stronger and he's come through that race well, and that's the reports, but you do never know. You know, that is 12 months and a hard first up run, so you don't really know. But have a look at his Spring Heat here. What did you make of this?
Well, I thought she was terrific because, I mean, leading into this race, as we know, her trials were nowhere. I mean, they were 1 out of 10, weren't they, those trials? But she produced it race day. She was very good in the week leading up. Now, what we do with that run last start is we just forget about it, don't we? Tommy Berry,
Absolutely.
You know, he was aboard. He had to get down to the lightweight, and the saddle is pushed back, and the horse has meant that it's come out bucking. So we forget the run, and we go on what we've seen past form, and it's good. Ellerslie past form, a previous Bone Crusher winner. If they're able to get the horse in a nice spot with a bit of tempo, can peel off a very good closing sectional. Jar Jar Binks is another horse, Aidan, out of that same race as well, that we probably need to talk about as well, with how she was able to work home very strongly in there. She came home in, 33 seconds?
Absolutely. The fastest 800 and fastest 600 of the night here on Karaka Million Night, and they do fly that night. You know, we saw Probably will run a blinding, 1,200 metres in the Karaka Million, actually faster than what Ardrossan did. So Jar Jar Binks' performance was very good. Goes well second up two starts for a win and a placing. And speaking to David Brown, they're really happy with the way she's come through that race as well. So it is an interesting one. The thing that gets me about Spring Heat, I didn't have it anywhere near the $6, but Stu Lang yesterday with his first call selections had 50 a win on it, and the reports out of Wexford Stables, who he is racing manager for, are really strong, saying that the horse is flying. So you've got to have respect for her on that. I didn't have her in 4 in the end. I've stuck around the Ever Loyal and company, but how did you see it in the end?
Yeah, look, I'm with Ever Loyal as well. I have marked Ever Loyal as my best bet today, but Spring Heat is at a place in the market where I'll be happy to save. I think if around $6, I think you can save. If you've played Ever Loyal, obviously there's probably a few deductions on that 2.9 anyway, with probably the Justice League coming out. But if you've played anywhere around that 250 mark, I'm happy to have something on the side with Spring Heat, because I think that is the biggest stage
What
of the
about
race.
Bisu? Because it was unlucky. It was just mounting a run. I think it would have finished third had it got that clear run the other day, and was a 1200 metre runner, a winner at Ellerslie. You know, got to be, especially when Thad's talking about money coming for it. It's got to be in the mix. I think.
For sure. Looks beaten Volpe Veloce, when winning the Auckland Thoroughbred Breeders as well. So there's good form lines around that horse, and of course Ricky Tiki Tavi was another horse who was in that race as well, and behind Ardros and finishing into 4th position. I'm with Ever Loyal having a little saver on the side with Spring Heat.
Yeah, you speak about that Thoroughbred Breeders race with Bisu. Third in that race was Sleeping Beauty, who nearly pulled off an upset, beating Volpe Veloce on Karaka Million Night as well. But yeah, isn't she an interesting filly, Spring Heat, or a mare as she is now? She looks the highest quality on occasions, quite stunning to the eye. So if she turns up and is right, be a cracking finish to the race. All right, the next on the program is the Sweps Avondale Guineas, where Cut a Deal is $2.80, Surely Sacred $4.40, Vernon Me at $9. Vernon Me was the first call special from yesterday. And Thad, you've already discussed how well backed Cut a Deal has been. Is that continued?
Yeah, look, it certainly has, Jason. Going for 4 in a row, Cut a Deal, $2.80 now. It was $3.20 when we opened that market. He's a track and distance winner at Ellerslie 2 starts ago, dropped him back to a mile, and he rounded them up very nicely there at Pukekohe at its last start. So he looks a real derby type in the making, does Cut a Deal. Certainly customers want to be with him. Look, Surely Sacred comes out of that Karaka Million Mile, as does Predefer. They're at $10. They both finished next to each other that night. Look, at the price discrepancy, Predefer at $10 attracting more of the action, perhaps than Surely Sacred, who has eased from around $4 out to $4.40. Look, Vernon Me, rock solid. The run in the Levin Classic for second behind Madison County, obviously very good, and we've had some good money for it in the New Zealand Derby, Jason, at around $12 last week. So they're expecting the step up will suit. I'm just looking down the page. Sir Nate always has his supporters at $18. Some interesting money on the other Baker runner in the race, the Chosen One, also at $18. You perhaps wouldn't be leaving that out. And that's probably where it ends. But as I was saying all morning, I think if anything beats Cut a Deal in this year's Avondale Guineas, it'll be a reasonable result for us.
They're just trying to build that picture about this race and also the Derby and sort of piece some of those puzzles together. Who out of the Avondale Guineas are your worst results in the futures for the Vodafone New Zealand Derby? Is Cut a Deal a bad result there, and Vernon Me as well? Are they the runners that you're holding liabilities on in the futures for the Derby itself?
Yeah, they are, particularly Vernon Me, Jason. There's been money as soon as we opened this Derby market. I think it was out at, still a maiden, I believe, at that stage, out at around 80 to 1, or maybe even 100 to 1 at some point for Vernon Me. So that is not a good way for us. Cut a Deal, reasonably well found, but certainly some good tickets on it. Looking down the page, some of these roughies, Jason, if they can sort of throw their name into the ring, particularly with a double market that I think will be available today as well, they could easily climb up the liabilities quickly. But I think Vernon Me, actually, at this stage, is the worst way in the Derby.
Any money for Botti and much money for Nobu, the two Waller horses?
I forgot to mention it, Jason. I was planning on it. Not a bean is the answer on Botti for a Chris Waller runner. Bringing to Ellerslie, Botti, I would have expected to see some money. It's been 12 out to 15 Botti and can't sell a ticket. So maybe the Derby is the aim, maybe running on today and hopefully fitting itself for a Derby, but I would be treading very carefully if you wanted to have a bet on Botti today. Nobu was the first emergency, so we'll touch on that a little bit later on the card.
Yeah, really interesting to get Thad Taylor's thoughts on not only the Avondale Guineas but the overall Derby picture. This is the map for the Guineas, and the Chosen One roll the dice. They look the horses to go forward, and then it's take your pick here, Bread and Popwell, as to how everything else will settle. You'd think that the inside drawn horses will take those more forward spots.
You'd think so, yeah. And who pitches a tent where, and then what happens to the race after that once they find their positions? Does something else happen in the race, Aidan? Do you feel as though is there a horse in there and a jockey that's thinking, I'm going to try and make the most of where I am and try and put my runner into the race and change it up. Is it?
No, I think Jason's identified those two horses. I think it's the chosen one and roll the dice. But outside that, because, you know, like we saw in the Waikato Guineas, you know, the first four home, around the bend, the first four home, it's the way that these lead-up races to the Derby always land, that people want to see their horses settling so they're relaxing and giving them their best chance of seeing out at 2,400 metres in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if there was a spanner thrown in the works. What are you thinking there might have been?
No, I'm not. I mean, look, there possibly could be, of course. Who knows? But I mean, we all know what the bigger prize is, and it's in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So, and with all those points that you pointed out, look, let's have a look at some runners. Let's go to Vernon Me. Because this is a run from a horse who has just been looking for more distance, Aidan. He's bred to be able to go over more distance, and he fights on so gamely here in the Levin Classic to grab second equal. Absolutely.
His performance is very good. It's around Arrogant, who's come out and run a terrific race in the Waikato Guineas, and More Wonder, who's come out and run a very good race in the Thorndon Mile as well. So, yeah, I think these are probably the yardstick horses of our 3-year-olds, and obviously Madison County is undoubtedly that. And he wasn't that far away from him. Hypnos Bowl account's not going forward to the Derby. More Wonder probably is, but via the Hanui Farm Wait for Age Classic. So his run very good. I just wonder now whether the 2,100 metres is more a stepping stone to that Derby, and whether today might not be the day, but I expect big things from him. I think he's a big Derby contender.
Right, well, you could look at this race a number of times because of the amount of runners that are in the race, that are working home in the race, Aidan, that are doing all very good things late. There's a number of them to talk about. First of all, Shirley Sacred, who gets back on the inside and works home into 5th position. He's a horse that's been touted as a Derby type, and this was his run in the 3-year-old Classic.
Absolutely, and the interesting thing is about the money. Look at Prix de Feu. That's the horse on Shirley Sacred's outside. That he's just gone past at that point. Prix de Feu actually fights back, and there wasn't much between them on the line. No. And I felt that Prix de Feu maybe just had probably a more economical run, but it was a race where, you know, certainly the horses who were outside the winner, who was about 6th in running, they've all come from worse than 10th or 11th in running, so it probably has favoured. It was a muddling race, a difficult one.
It was.
Swordstrom wasn't that good that day, but was obviously pretty good in behind Cardadale here. I don't know. I know the times weren't too bad, but I think he's got to improve, and he's still a maiden. It is getting me a little bit about him.
Yeah. Look, I like Swordstrom, and I thought his effort here in the 3-year-old Salva, he goes on the line. He goes through the line. He goes with them here. I know Cardadale's very good here when stepping up over distance. I'm happy to say that this race could be a guide for the Derby as well. I know potentially it hasn't been in the past, but I think with where it sits now, look, I thought his run was terrific. He's then come back to 1,600 metres late. I mean, it's all about watching, I think, that race past the line with swords drawn. And look, he's going up the hill there, and he's still closing on them as they're pulling up. So I thought from a horse who's looking to be a stayer, I thought his run was okay from swords drawn, and I believe anyway with where he's drawn, he could be in that right half of the field instead of being in the back half of the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So that gives him a chance
today really is the acid test for him, isn't it? We really need to find out, because he has promised a little bit on the way through, and I just think last time I thought we might have seen a little bit more from him. I know he got back into an impossible position back from where he was, and his splits were okay, but like so were the splits of horses like in a Twinkling and those sort of horses as well. So I just don't know how much weight to put on that.
I think there's a number of horses who fall into that category. I think we're all pretty certain around the top 3 in the market with Cardadale, Shirley Sacred, and then of course Vernon Me. And then there's that glump of horses underneath that everyone's looking to see something from. They're those $20 to $30 shots that might be around that mark in the Derby. We see it so often in this race that horses can, sprint out of the ground and be a Derby chance all of a sudden after running well in this race. So a number of those horses fall into that bracket today.
Just the 2 horses I just want to mention of. Obviously you've seen my selections there, but the Chosen One is my 4th pick in the race, has been backed in from 21s into 18s in that market, and the other one's Roll the Die. I'm just backing them on maps. I do want to play them both today.
Yeah, well, they find that up front position, and it could be a race where it's dominated by those horses up front. I'm with Shirley Sacred just in front of Cardadale. I really don't find too much between them, but I am going to have something on swords drawn in the race, Jason. I do feel as though he can be at a pinch of overs. He could be that placemaker in the race at around 5.25. He's going to be in the right half of the field to give himself a chance of being a massive contender today and then rolling into the Derby.
Race number 7 is the Coca-Cola Avondale Cup, and Mongolian Marshall is the $3 favourite. 5 to Midnight's $4.80 and Glory Days $5.50. Outside of those, it really is a pick and a poke. You've got Roger That at 18 with Andoyas, Final Suggestion, and Gun Down Chance to Dance is also at 18. You spoke of Thad Taylor, an early bet on Mongolian Marshall. The good fight there at $9.50 shouldn't discount him. You spoke about Mongolian Marshall, an early bet on him. Has there been much else to report?
No, there hasn't, Jason. There's a few abandoning ship around Mongolian Marshall today, particularly at a $3 price. Obviously, the relevant form, that staying race on Karaka Million night there, where Mongolian Marshall was beaten by 5 to midnight. In that race was also the good fight. There was a really good late push for the good fight. It was a horrible result that night for us. I would expect to see something similar again, particularly out there at $9.50 around the good fight. Look, other horses in commission, Chance to Dance. This horse never goes around as a winning result for us. It won't today again at $18. I see Opie Boston aboard, building to something with its last 3 starts. It is 9, but there's always good support around Chance to Dance. Some interesting stablemate money now in the last sort of 6 hours around Gundown, the stablemate of the favourite Mongolian Marshall at $18. It comes out of that same race on that night and was a little bit unlucky, getting home strongly behind 5 to midnight that night. All makes for a tricky race, Jason, and that's probably the summation of it. Look, our losing results at this stage are Chance to Dance and the good fight, but plenty to play out in this race, and it is tricky.
Yeah, it's the map that's really hard. That some of these staying races, they're just so hard to predict, and you run them 100 times and you'll come up with 100 different maps. It does appear as though Final Suggestion can move forward and lead, and that money for Chance to Dance could also be map related, because he looks like he's going to be one of the other horses that will sit forward there. You've got the likes of Jack Star, Shared Secrets, Glory Days, who will settle back. With the blinkers on, Andoyas hoping would be able to take a spot or two closer to the speed. D&G, after about 200-300 metres, might be able to work around to the front, but yeah, not straightforward this race at all, Brendan.
Yeah, look, again, I think it's what will happen and where horses find themselves and what happens to the race after that once they find their positions. Look, we've seen it so often in staying races, haven't we, over the last 2-3 years in this country. And this race itself as well, Aidan, especially with what you've got at the top of the book and then compressed down to everything else. From runner number 4 onwards, it's 52.5 down to 52. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of the Avondale Cup this year. I really don't.
I tell you what, that's what's making today so intriguing, though, isn't it? Because they are such difficult races, this and the Guineas, and they're compelling races. You just want to be getting involved in, and obviously the key lead up for Group 1 races in the coming weeks here at Ellerslie. It is a difficult race, and that speed map's interesting too. I've got Final Map suggesting going across, but what do they do with those next two in betting, like 5 to midnight and Mongolian Marshall? Where do they actually end up? So, you know, Mongolian Marshall, while there's that query about him on staying, he has run 2,400 metre races, 3 and 2 starts where he's beaten 5 to midnight both times. So,
yeah,
I don't know. We're going to have a look at this Karaka Cup, and obviously 5 to midnight was able to turn the tables at a shorter distance. And you're looking at Gun down there in the Patania colours just in behind them. Just never got a shot for the last 500 metres.
Look, Gundown's been a bit like that though, hasn't he? He's found a fair bit of bad luck in his runs. So you go back to the effort around Manawa 2 as well, where he didn't have a lot of luck on that occasion. Then he's flown home here to finish into second position. I can sort of understand why he's a horse that has been backed in this market, because he's at a very lucrative price and we know how good he can be. But yeah, like Mongolian Marshall, despite all his flaws of staying or not, he's a horse you'd still love to own, because he still gives it his all at the same time. And he won a Waikato Cup 3 starts ago. He's been placed here in the City of Auckland Cup. That's his Karaka Cup placing as well. What mix does this horse bring to the race? So, and it's Glory Days. Now, this was a run, Aidan, over 1,600 metres in the Weight for Age Wairarapa Breeders when smoking home, beaten less than a length. We know how good she can be. She's already won a couple of country cups this season as well.
Yeah, exactly. And because it was a full field for this Wairarapa Thoroughbred Breeders, she had to circle the field. So she's done, covered more ground than anything in the race. Hits the line nicely. That's over 1,600 metres. Short of her distance, fresh up, very good. But the thing is now she's got to step from 1,600 metres to 2,400 metres. It's not an easy task. But she's shown that she is a stayer on the rise. Her wins in the Waverley Cup and Wanganui Cup were both first class. And then she just got back on the inside, and you just can't do that at Awapuni these days when unlucky in that Manawa 2 Cup. So you forgive that run. Her form is top class. She comes in on 52.5 kilograms. It should be close to a winning weight, but like you say, it's a really difficult race. At the $18, this final suggestion being out of trouble in front, maybe that's just the way to go. But Jason Tarn told me yesterday, put it on in bucket loads on Andois. So.
Well, there you go. You listen when you hear that sort of chat, don't you, around Andois. So, look, I know with the blinkers going on, and the team have certainly spoken about that will help the horse here this afternoon from an inside gate, and let's hope we can turn around the disappointment here last time. Look, I'm with the good fight. I really don't know if the race is going to pan out for the good fight, but I do believe in the horse's ability in terms of his staying potential. So, marked it on top. I found it a very awfully hard race to bet into.
He's obviously been taking water out of the bathtub with a thimble. I think he's mistaken the size of my buckets. Okay, here is the market for the next race on the program, and this is the 8th, the Auckland Co-op Taxis 21. Nobu's $2.60, River Run is at $4, and well, I like both of those two horses, Thad Taylor, but really they're as short as probably you'd want them to be.
Exactly, a clear step to the third favourite in the race, which is Scaglione, the 4 on the book. Look, Amano and He's No Saint come out of the same race at Matamata at longer odds, and they're both losing results for us currently, particularly Amano from the O'Sullivan Scott stable. We might need to hear if anyone's got any Stu Lang oil there around Amano. River Run was massive last time, obviously over a shorter distance there down in Taranaki. But looks like the step to 2100 metres will certainly suit this runner for Tony Pike. And yeah, I guess the whole race really revolves around what we do with Nobu, the $2.60 favourite. Obviously, we haven't seen any money for it yet. It's going to be particularly interesting to see how this market shakes out, potentially with some sort of commingled money coming into this pool late. So a lot to happen at this stage. Our customers saying there is value outside Nobu. We were pretty happy with the 260, but where it ends up, I just couldn't tell you yet.
Yeah, Tony Pike was very keen on River Run when we spoke with him earlier on the Punters Lounge Live. So certainly at the $4, River Run brings the right sort of form. How about the pace in the race? This is the map, another situation where we've got a 2100 metre affair with only the one horse that we think could lead, which opens the door for multiple horses to potentially lead. Brendan, I'll handball it straight to you.
Yeah. Well, Express Call's an easy one to be able to map, wasn't it? It was just about everything else in the race where they sort of confine their positions. Nobu, look, adds a fair bit of interest to this last race. Nobu's drawn out in the car park, but this is the effort Aidan when finishing 4th, and of course Botti was in this race as well when finishing into 3rd position. Yeah,
that's Botti out wider on the track, just coming into it in the white bridle. So down the inside though, Nobu had got a long way back, stayed to the inside, and then look at the closing stretch from Nobu, very good. You can see Botti as well, just kicking on quite strongly out centre track, and that will in the end run 3rd. Nobu just missing out on beating it there and finishing 4th. It goes around in the Mark Wyburn colours, Mark and Celia Wyburn, so they've had some decent horses, provocative among those in recent years as well. Wouldn't be here if they didn't think it was some sort of derby chance. It seems to be a good race. Just that wide draw, I think it's going to dictate that it gets back, although we saw it get back last time as well. So it's got to be a contender in the race, but it is a tricky old affair. Interesting to hear that Tony Pike was so keen on River Run as well, because this horse was pretty good at a couple of starts back, although well beaten by Super G when Super G won its maiden as well. Yeah,
that's right. I quite like Super G. I think he's an up and comer. Super G. He was beaten, of course, here in the Karaka 3-year-old classic. I know this horse in River Run has been touted as a star in the making. Probably 1400 metre run last time to the races. You think, gee, 1400 up to 2100 metres. Of course, that was in that Taranaki Summer Challenge. Yeah, they had a slot, they had to go, and was able to run home into 5th position. But gee, getting tight enough. So that is there anything else in the race that we can look outside?
Amano's definitely one of those, and here's a horse who last time just got too far back, but really did attack the line strongly. The form line from Amano ran 3rd to Dawn Patrol and Arrogant earlier in the season. That's not a bad little form line coming into this. So we know the horse has got the ability. When it cleared maidens, was very good as well. So at $18, I can understand that there's a bit of specking for the horse.
Yep. All right. I went with Nobu on top as well. I put Super G in the mix as my second selection around number 5 in River Run. So probably trying to end the quaddie with those 3 runners is what I'm thinking. Maybe with a little bit of a Mano as well in there as well.
Okay, time now for suggested bets and your spins. BP, I'll give you the $100 thimble, and Aidan Rodley's got the $100,000 bucket.
All right, well, seems he's got the big bucket. We'll go to Aidan first of all.
Do we just do we play for or against Winks today? That's the query. I'm going to go tight line today. I need to get that money back that I lost last week on tight line. So that's the major spend there. So 20 over 60 on tight line, and I'm going to play those two on speed runners and the guineas as well, the Chosen One and Roll the Dice, and just hope that one of them runs a decent race for me.
All right, nice one. So tight line for you in race number 5. I'm going to go for my best bet today in Ever Loyal. I'm going to mark that as my best in race number 5. Sure, we're not. Yeah. What was tight line? Tight line was in
race 4. Yep.
Race
So,
4.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Might have said race 5 on that graphic. Yeah, race 4. So Ever Loyal, my best. I'm going to make swords drawn, sort of the value bet / each way, playing towards that place price and having a little spicky on the win. So I'm going to have $40 to win on Ever Loyal. And
You got another $20 to spend, do you?
if
Where's the other 20 going? Oh, here we go.
yeah. And then I'm going to take a little place multi with swords drawn. So I do like the good fight in the swords drawn is horses going forward. So I thought a little place multi around those runners.
Do you take the 108 on Winks or not?
Look, I don't take 108, Aidan. I sit back and watch the thrill of Winks. So I won't be betting into that race, Aidan. No, all right, no. That's us. Aidan's going to go away and see if he can plunge the 108. We'll be back here at 12:25 for the first.